Hi, everyone. This is your host, Raven Zayad, and welcome back to Forgotten Echoes, a podcast where we dive into the mysterious and unexplained cases of Black women and girls that often get lost in time. So before we get into today's case, I have an exciting update, and I kind of spieled about it last week, but very soon we'll be uploading short videos for each case on YouTube. So if you haven't already done so, go ahead and subscribe. The link is in our show notes. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok for content related to the cases discussed. And lastly, don't forget to swipe up and leave a comment on whatever platform you're listening from. I'm actually going to give you some homework. When you swipe up and leave a comment, tell me where you're listening from. I really want to hear about it. And while you're there, go ahead and give this podcast a 5-star review. I really appreciate it. Now let's get into the case. So today I'm going to tell you a story about a mystery that has gripped the small town of Unadilla, Georgia for more than 2 decades. The chilling disappearance of 8-year-old Shy'Kemmia Pate. A child who should have come home one Friday night, but never did. Her case remains a haunting question mark, a story with missing pieces that refuse to surface. This is episode 11, The Disappearance of Shy'Kemmia Pate. Sources for today's episode include Dateline, Oxygen, NBC News, BuzzFeed, the Charley Project, and missingkids.org. Now let's get into the episode. Unadilla is a small town in Dooley County, Georgia, about 45 minutes from Macon, with a population of less than 3,000 today. And in 1998, when this story takes place, around 1,600 residents. While it may not seem like the kind of place where children vanish without a trace, the reality is that missing person cases are more common than you think. According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children in Georgia alone, hundreds of children go missing every year. Unfortunately, Black children account for nearly 40% of all missing children in the United States, despite making up a smaller percentage of the population. A disparity in attention and urgency that we can't ignore. And one of those children was Shy'Kemmia Pate. Shy'Kemmia Pate, affectionately known as Shy, was born on October 29, 1989, to parents Veronica and James Pate in Unadilla, Georgia, where she was surrounded by family and a tight-knit community that adored her. She was the youngest of 4 siblings, and from an early age, she was known for her vibrant personality, a child who was full of energy, curiosity, and had a certain zest for life. She was described by family as independent and playful, and always eager to explore the world around her. Whether it was riding her bike through the neighborhood, roller skating with her friends, or singing her heart out in the church choir, Shy embraced life with enthusiasm and joy. Her mother, Veronica, described her youngest child as a vibrant and kind-hearted child who brought joy to those around her. She was an honor roll student, loved watching cartoons, and had a strong bond with her siblings. She was the kind of child who could light up the room with her smile. She also had a love for fashion, excitingly picking out her new clothes whenever she had the chance, showing off her unique sense of style at a young age. Shy also faced several medical challenges that made daily life more difficult. She suffered from severe asthma, which required frequent breathing treatments, and had an underdeveloped kidney, a condition that added to her health struggles. In addition, she had a weak bladder that required her to wear pull-ups to avoid the need for restroom breaks every 10 to 15 minutes. On top of these conditions, she had a displaced kneecap that required her to wear a leg brace, which sometimes made it harder for her to run and play. Her challenges may have made her physically tired at times, but she never let them take away from her happiness or impact her performance in school. At school, she was known as a bright, cheerful child who radiated positivity and warmth, always ready with a smile, a laugh, or a playful adventure. At the time of her disappearance, Shy'Kemmia had just started third grade and was proving to be an exceptional student. She took pride in her schoolwork and was earning excellent grades. The last school photo taken of her shows the third grader beaming at the camera with her long braids pulled to one side. And you have to see this photo. It'll be on TikTok and Instagram because she is such a doll. Though she was only 8 years old, she was already developing a sense of independence and resilience, qualities that made her stand out. She was just a light in everyone's life. A light that would be put out far too soon. It was the late 1990s, a time when childhood felt freer and neighborhoods were like extended families. And if you're a 90s kid like me, if you know, you know. Kids still spent their afternoons riding bikes, playing outside until the streetlights flickered on, and knowing that a shout from a parent or a familiar voice down the block meant it was time to come home. It was an era when doors were open, left unlocked, and when people looked out for one another. And September 4th, 1998 was no different. In Unadilla, Georgia, like so many other places, family and friends were gearing up for another Friday night under the lights. Because if there was one thing you could count on in the South, it was the excitement of Friday night football. So it's Friday, September 4th, and it was supposed to be a really fun night for Shy. Her older sister, LaSwanda, who was 17 at the time, was in junior ROTC and was in the color guard, so she was performing that night at the football game. And she agreed to take Shy with her. And I'm not a little sister, but I could only imagine how honored she felt, being 8 and getting to go to a high school football game and watch her older sister perform. Like, how freaking cool. She probably felt like that was so epic. So basically, she had been looking forward to attending this particular football game, and it was a big deal in her small town. And it was such a big deal because that was the game leading into Labor Day weekend. So, you know how that goes. That morning started out like any other day. Her mother, Veronica, walked her to school, sharing a simple yet heartfelt moment with her youngest. She told sweet Shy that she loved her and would see her later on when she got home. Those words, spoken so casually at the time, would become etched into Veronica's memory forever, as that would be the last time she would see her. That afternoon, as the school day ended around 3:30 p.m., Shy made her way home, filled with excitement. And I just told you why. There was a football game later on that night, her sister was performing, and it was the start to a long weekend. So say less. Eager for the evening ahead, she got ready to go to the game with her sister. And this is where Shy'Kemmia's story takes a chilling turn. That evening, the mood was light. The air was thick with humidity, and kids were outside playing as the sun began to set. Parents sat on porches, chatting, while children ran back and forth in the fading light. That evening, a little before 7 p.m., Shy'Kemmia was outside on the front porch of her family's home, enjoying the last few hours of daylight, playing outside before the football game. It was an ordinary moment in a familiar place, the kind of scene that played out countless times before. Her older sister, LaSwanda, had left briefly, making a quick trip to fill up her car with gas before they headed to the high school football game later that night. As she's getting in the car, she sees Shy playing outside, and she even waves at her. Being the sweet big sister she is, she decides to let Shy play a little longer and grab the gas first, and then come back home and pick up her little sister. A routine errand, something that should have taken only a few minutes. But when she pulled back into the driveway, expecting to see Shy'Kemmia right where she left her, something was wrong. The porch was empty, and her sister was gone. So at this point, her sister wasn't immediately startled. The neighborhood was really tight, and it wasn't uncommon for Shy to play with the neighbors' kids or catch rides with their family or vice versa. So with it being the Labor Day football game, LaSwanda thought she most likely caught a ride with a friend, and she'd see her little sister at the game. Or maybe she was just at a friend's house and lost track of time. LaSwanda also called their mom because she had to be at the game by 7:30 as she was cutting it close, and her mom wasn't home yet. Veronica reassured her oldest to go to the game without her sister because she'd be home soon and would get her sister when she got home. 20 minutes go by and Veronica finally makes it home a little past 7:45 p.m., only to find Shy still isn't at the house. Veronica immediately starts to call around, and doubt slowly starts to creep in when the neighbors haven't seen the 8-year-old. And the final straw is when her older sister comes back from the game without Shy'Kemmia. Veronica immediately calls the Unadilla Police Department. And this is where a slew of mishaps begin to happen as the case kicks off, if you can even say that. For one, police told her she needed to wait 24 hours after the child was last seen before they could start a search, which just isn't true. We're talking about a missing 8-year-old with serious health issues at that, and police didn't jump into action immediately. I'm so over hearing about how searches are delayed because of this rhetoric, but if you're listening to me now, this just simply isn't true, especially for children. And I know the 90s were a different time, but oh my gosh, so much time was lost and the chances of finding her dropped tremendously because of this single decision. However, that didn't stop the family and neighbors from banding together and searching in the dead of night for the 8-year-old. Unfortunately, nothing would come from the search. On the Dateline interview with Randy Lambert, a Dooley County Sheriff's investigator, he states when their office got involved, quote, "I was surprised dispatch asked if the missing little girl in Unadilla was found. And I said, 'What little girl?' And that's when we found out about it. This was roughly mid-morning the next day," quote. And for clarity, back in 1998, the Dooley County Sheriff's Office was one of 2 law enforcement agencies serving the city of Unadilla. Veronica had called the Unadilla Police Department the night before. So by the time authorities were alerted, precious hours had already slipped away, time that could have been crucial in finding Shy'Kemmia. The Dooley County Sheriff's Office found itself racing against the clock, trying to make up for the lost window of opportunity. What began as a local effort quickly escalated. Law enforcement at every level, local, state, and federal, joined the search. Investigators combed through Shy's neighborhood, going door to door, questioning residents, and scouring the area for any trace of the missing 8-year-old. The search extended beyond the streets, into the dense forest and open fields surrounding Unadilla. Helicopters took to the skies, while ground teams equipped with search dogs and 4-wheelers pushed deeper into the terrain. Yet, despite the exhaustive efforts, Shy seemed to have vanished without a trace. Witnesses came forward offering glimpses of her final known moments. Neighbors recalled seeing her that evening, some saying she had been outside alone, while one person remembered her stopping by their home to eat a hot dog. But the last confirmed sighting placed her at the intersection of the Crumpler Avenue and West Street around 8:45 p.m., just half a block from her home. And then nothing. No screams, no struggle, no sign of where she went or who might have taken her. Shy was simply gone. And this location was kind of alarming because this was right across the street from a family-owned business called Roxy's. And it seemed like this was kind of a multi-purpose type of place, mom and pop shop by day and club and pool parlor by night. Now during the day, local kids would come by and grab different snacks and whatnot, but at night, it was kind of a hangout spot for some pretty unsavory people. Drug trafficking and crime were pretty common. But nothing really comes from this, as Shy'Kemmia's disappearance has never been officially linked to the club, but you do wonder. Over the years, investigators have worked with multiple agencies, including the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, or the GBI. But despite efforts, leads have remained scarce. There were no strong suspects, no ransom demands, no clear evidence of what happened, and Shy'Kemmia's case went cold. And while life went on for everyone else, it stopped that Friday night for the Pate family. For 2 agonizing years after her youngest daughter disappeared, a heartbroken Veronica slept by the front door of their home, leaving it unlocked each night, just in case Shy found her way back. Every creak of the floorboard, every gust of wind, held the possibility that her little girl was coming home. In an interview with Dateline, Veronica shared how she's managed to keep going all these years. Quote, "You just pray and ask God to teach you how to put one foot in front of the other. Hold your head up high and smile," she said. "Even when you can't smile, you still smile." Quote, "It's the kind of strength no mother should ever have to summon, yet somehow she does, day after day, year after year, while waiting for answers that have never seemed to come. Or would they?" 3 years after Shy's disappearance, Unadilla was in the news once again. In July of 2002, 20-year-old Quentin Kendrick pleaded guilty to 16 charges, including rape and kidnapping. He's currently serving a life sentence. But what's weird is Kendrick lived about 200 yards from the Pate's home. And to top it off, he was also connected to the family. Shy'Kemmia's mom grew up with his mom, so in other words, he wasn't a stranger. And this is suspicious to me, I can't lie. While it was never confirmed Shy'Kemmia was abducted, technically, in my opinion, that's exactly what happened. So stay with me here. If we're looking at the case from the perspective of a possible abduction, abductions are mainly carried out by someone the victim knows or at least feels comfortable with. And she did know Quentin. So paired with his disturbing rap sheet of sexually based offenses, he does fit the bill. It was a football game, and maybe Shy'Kemmia realized or thought her sister went to the game without her. Eager to get there, she caught a ride with the wrong person. It's just a theory, but a plausible one in my opinion. And it's worth noting that her mother does not believe he had anything to do with her daughter's disappearance. But it does make you think. And to double down on this theory, neighbors openly allow police to search their homes after Shy'Kemmia went missing, to basically rule out she was being held in any one of the neighbors' homes. But if someone took her in the car, that would explain how it could have been someone from the block, but no evidence was found during the searches. Like I said, just a theory. But at one point, police did look at Quentin as a suspect, and he firmly denied he had anything to do with Shy'Kemmia's disappearance. So the case stayed cold for 20 years before it warmed up. So fast forward, it's 2022, and an unexpected message on Facebook sent shockwaves through the Pate family. A woman from Missouri reached out, claiming to be Shy. This online exchange led to an emotional phone call between the woman and Shy'Kemmia's mother, Veronica. Quote, "She said she was shy," Veronica recalled in an interview with Dateline. The woman claimed she had been abducted but couldn't remember the details. Her mind had blocked out the trauma. Quote, "Then she spoke words that Veronica would never forget, stating, quote, 'If we never see each other again, I just want you to know that I ain't dead, and I just want to ease the pain that's in your heart,' quote." In that moment, Veronica believed her. She said, "When I heard the voice on the phone, it was like the pain in my heart just finally got relieved." But soon after, a DNA test shattered that fragile hope. Law enforcement confirmed that the Missouri woman was not Shy'Kemmia Pate. Despite the results, Veronica remains unconvinced. She questions the accuracy of the tests and insists that the caller knew details only her daughter would know. However, not everyone in the family shares her belief. Shy's sister LaSwanda remains skeptical, unconvinced that the voice on the other end of the line belonged to her little sister. And essentially, she wanted her mom to keep her guard up. Eventually, the woman recanted several parts of her statements and stopped answering calls altogether, which is so frustrating. And with that said, that was one of the last updates I could find on the case. Today, Veronica eventually moved out of the neighborhood and became a grandma. She has 8 grandchildren, and Shy's oldest sister, LaSwanda, has 3 children of her own. And she makes sure to remind them about their aunt they never got to meet. One theory is that Shy'Kemmia was abducted. Given that she was waiting outside near a road, some people believe that she may have been taken by someone passing through. Others speculate that someone she knew lured her away, maybe in hopes of dropping her off at the football game. There were reports of suspicious vehicles in the area around the time of her disappearance, but nothing conclusive ever came from the tips. Some community members expressed frustration over the lack of urgency in the case. People believe that had Shy'Kemmia been a white child, her case would have received far more attention and resources, and most importantly, urgency. Unfortunately, as time passed, the case faded from public attention. Unlike other missing child cases that made national headlines, Shy'Kemmia's story remained largely unheard of outside of her small community. When asked what she would say to Shy if she was listening, her older sister LaSwanda told Dateline, quote, "If she's listening or if she hears this story, I would want her to know and understand that we had no idea where to go, and we still don't. We still love her. We miss her tremendously, and we never gave up hope." Quote. Now here's the call to action. Shy'Kemmia Pate has been missing for over 2 decades. Her mother, Veronica, has never stopped searching. She has kept her daughter's memory alive by speaking out and advocating for renewed attention to the case. Shy was just 8 years old when she vanished from her hometown of Unadilla, Georgia on September 4th, 1998. On that day, she was last seen wearing a neon green Atlanta Braves jersey with red lettering, jeans, and a leg brace, an outfit that would have stood out, yet she seemingly disappeared without a trace. If you have any information about Shy'Kemmia's disappearance, no matter how small it may seem, please contact the Dooley County Sheriff's Office at area code 229-645-0920 or the Georgia Bureau of Investigation at area code 478-987-4545. Even the smallest detail could help bring justice and closure to a family that has waited far too long for answers. I can't express that enough. The GBI continues to encourage anyone with information to come forward, and a $20,000 reward remains in place for anyone who can provide credible information leading to answers about her disappearance. Despite the passage of time, her family and investigators continue to seek answers about what happened to her that fateful evening, sending so much light and love to the Pate family. Thank you for tuning in to episode 11 of Forgotten Echoes. If you appreciate the cases I cover, please consider downloading this episode and leaving a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Also, don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, where we'll soon be posting short videos of each case. I'm Raven Syed, and I'll see you next week with another case that needs to be remembered. Stay vigilant, stay aware, and keep the echoes of the forgotten alive. I'll see you soon.